How's it going?
Kyle, your only NFL action in terms of a regular season game was in that Falcons game.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in there, and all of a sudden it's over before you know it, because it's just sometimes in a couple plays in the fourth quarter. What did you get from that, and did it seem like it was over before it even began because you weren't even in there for an entire quarter?
Yeah, I mean, not really being able to get some real game reps. Obviously, the game didn't mean a whole lot for us at that point in the season in terms of playoff contentions and things like that. But just for me to be out there getting some real game reps, just kind of reminded me so much of why I love playing football. Like, just being out there, it wasn't scout team anymore. It wasn't practice reps, just being out there live action. It was awesome. And just great experience for me because, prior to that, it's only been preseason reps and scout team and whatever I get in practice. But to really see some live bullets and get a better feel for the speed of the game was, I think, huge for me.
Get a new offense to learn with Dave Canales now. I know it'll be easier once you have more on-field with teammates, with coaches. But just what you've been able to pick up and what do you like about the offense you'll have this fall?
I'm very, very excited about this new offense. I'm loving every part of it so far. And if you look back to what they were able to do in Seattle last year, it's a very quarterback-friendly offense. And, they do a great job of tying the run and the pass game together, putting themselves in the best position possible. And, I think that's going to be very good for the people in this building. I noticed this morning, this is going to be a very young team, a lot of new faces. So it's going to be very important for us to have, not necessarily a simpler system, but a system that allows us to play fast and play confidently.
Kyle, understanding, everyone has to learn the new playbook and the system and everything. For you, this is a huge opportunity. You're going to be competing to be a starter this year. Because of that, does your approach this offseason and heading into OTAs and training camp, does it change at all, or do you kind of stick to a similar routine that has gotten you here?
For me, this is a good opportunity for me, like you said, and a great opportunity for me to compete with someone like Baker, who's definitely proven himself in this league. So it'll be very fun to, get to know him and compete with him every day. But yeah, for me, I always try to be as consistent as I can. Try to keep I'm always trying to build my routine squared away as tight as I can. So it's just very important for me to really lock that in at a time like now and try to make myself as productive as possible to help this team in the end and hopefully help the overall success of this team.
Kyle, you were labeled on more than one occasion a deliberate learner by your former quarterback's coach. Is that accurate, and how did that sit with you? Some might take that as a slow learner if they interpret it that way. How did that comment sit with you?
There's, you can take whatever you want at face value. But, for me, I'm just concerned about am I understanding the concepts and the offense fully? And I love to just really dive into a playbook and, learn the ins and outs of every single play. I feel personally the more I know about the play, where to go with the ball in certain situations, where to go with the ball, certain types of defenses, I'm just going to be able to play that much faster and that much more confidently. So you can call it a deliberate learner, you call it whatever you want, but I'm going to put in that extra time to make sure I know every little thing and all the ins and outs of every single play that I run when I'm on the field.
Kyle, do you have any advantage in that? You've been in this organization for 2 years. You know the players. They're teammates of yours now.
Mm-hmm.
Get familiarity. I know you weren't repping all the time with Mike or Chris, but
Right.
just from that standpoint, does that feel like a good place to be starting from?
Absolutely. Part of football is the relationships, and that's part of the reason we play is the relationships, and that's what makes it so much more fun is when you're just getting to know people, getting to know people's families, hanging out with people on and off the field, and most importantly, what we do on that field. And, it's always a great place to start from whenever you have some of those relationships already built. But overall, for the success of this team, all I'm concerned about is, putting my best foot forward to help this team win at the end of the day.
Has Canales and Todd Bowles told you that it's wide open? Have they told you that, hey, you're going to compete against Baker, or you know what, it's yours? What have they both told you?
I've just been told it's an open competition. But at the end of the day, I know that the team's going to do what they have to do to put whoever on the field that's going to allow our team to be the most successful. And for me, I feel this time I just really need to hone in and be as consistent as I can. And at the end of the day, I'm just trying to do whatever I can to make this team succeed. And fortunately enough, I've had 2 years of prior experience with a very veteran quarterback room, and there's a lot to take away from that. And I'm going to try to implement some of those styles and routines that they had into my routine, and hopefully that will make us more successful at the end of the day.
And just to follow up, what do you think is the biggest thing that you learned under Tom Brady here, if it's at the top?
I was in that room every day for 2 years. I learned so much. It's hard to pinpoint, a specific thing I learned from him. But if I were to give you one answer, he's just such a tight routine, a true professional. That was one takeaway I would say, is I learned how to be I was able to see what a true professional looks like, coming into work every single day, the highs and lows of whatever it may be, but still coming to work and still getting the job done. Still, no matter what's going on, you're still putting your foot down and you're still putting your best foot forward to try to get the best out of your productivity for the overall success of the team.
Have you had a chance to meet Baker or talk to him at all? And what's your observation? Obviously, like yourself, he was a decorated college player, won a Heisman and all that. But what's your thoughts about him before or after, since you mentioned?
Yeah, so I got a chance to meet a lot of new faces today, and met Baker today. Great person, great dude. And, it just makes me that much more excited to now we got the opportunity to see everybody who's going to be in that quarterback room and, primarily who's going to be in that offensive room day to day. And just makes me that much more excited to, come to work. I got a lot of energetic faces just ready to get to work and, try to help this team win.
Kyle, you had a really successful touchdown interception ratio. Didn't make a lot of mistakes. Didn't throw a lot of interceptions in Florida. Do you feel like that helps you? The fact that you maybe are I don't say risk adverse, but you don't have that pedigree of making mistakes. First rule of football: don't beat yourself. Right? Dave Canales has talked about ball security, protecting the ball, and those types of things. Can that experience in that area give you maybe a winning edge in training camp in the preseason?
I think to be a successful NFL quarterback, number one has to be about protecting the football, no matter what team you're on. Look at every successful team. I'm sure they don't have a very high turnover ratio, and that's obviously been a big emphasis for me personally, because that's one of the number one rules of football is just protecting it. So I'm glad that he's making that such a big emphasis for us, because it is one of the most important things you can do. And looking back to, like you brought up, my college numbers and things like that, I just feel like I'd try to do the best job I can of just taking what the defense gives me, and I feel like I'm just going to continue to try to do that and implement that whenever I get my opportunities here.
So you got a new quarterbacks coach in Tampa. This guy, you've been around the last 2 years, but back to his natural position, what does he bring to the quarterback room?
Yeah. Fortunately, I've had the opportunity to build a good relationship with Thad the past 2 years. He's worked with the receivers a little bit the past 2 years, and I'm really excited to work with him now as the quarterbacks coach. And he's always been giving me little tidbits and Nuggets as over the past 2 years, are just because he's a former quarterback. He's got NFL experience. So I'm just really excited to have him in the quarterback room with us now, and I think he has a lot to bring to the table.
We're going to be talking to Rashad White in just a little bit. You spent more time handing off the ball to him than, say, Leonard Fournette in training camp in the preseason last year. What are your thoughts on how you've seen Rashad's development behind the scenes, and what can we expect to see from him this year?
What I'll say about Rashad is he's a very, very hard worker, and he puts a lot of thought into, what he does on that football field. He's a great communicator with his coaches, with his teammates, always trying to, do whatever is the right thing to do on the field. And, I think he's going to be a great, young leader for this team. And I'll say, he just always has his foot on the gas pedal and is always trying to get better each and every day.
It's no secret that the quarterback position, you're one of the top guys. You have to be a leader on that team. You're running the offense. What type of leadership qualities do you bring? And do you think you can kind of like mesh it in with playing with a lot of veterans around you, like Mike and Chris and some of the guys on the offensive line as well?
Yeah. I think I try to do my best to be as consistent as I can. Show up every single day with the right mindset. Try to lift everybody up around me. And accountability is a huge part of leadership as well. So you have to keep the people around you accountable, which I think this building does a great job of. And also on top of that, just being in the quarterback room I was in the past 2 years, I think has showed me a lot about leadership and, just seeing the interactions and just being around those guys every day for the past 2 years, I think definitely rubbed off on me in a positive way and will only help me in the future.
What can you do? How do you win this job? I guess one guy's got 100 touchdowns and 16,000 yards, and you've attempted 9 passes, but you've been here. So, for you can't be focused on everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a new offense. You got movement and all these different things to learn. What do you build yourself on and say, this is what I'm going to do in this job?
Kind of just piggybacking off of what I said earlier, just being as consistent as I can. And I guarantee you the job won't be won if I'm, thinking about outside things and, different types of narratives. That's not going to translate to success on the football field. I need to narrow my focus and, do my best to put the team in the most successful position possible. And at the end of the day, just have fun and, lift the ones around you, because I think when you do that, it ties the whole thing together and everybody plays better.
I mean, this is exciting. I mean, you put in the time. Top Bowl says he sees you out there every day, and you knew Tom Brady was going to start for the last 2 years. This must feel, coming into this camp on this day, has to feel totally different than it did the last 2 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, I can't take that past experience for granted. It definitely taught me a lot of lessons. Sure. But I also think it prepared me for a moment like this when I have a more true opportunity at the starting job. And, I'll just try to take some of those experiences with me into the future. Learned a lot of great lessons. And I'm just super excited about the future and, see a lot of young, energetic faces in this building just ready to go. So I'm super excited.
Kyle, if you could play general manager Jason Light for a minute, if you could pluck one of your former Gators teammates out of this draft and put him in red and pewter, who would it be? Just pick one of your former teammates.
Out of this current draft, oh man, that's a great question. I mean, we got a lot of great guys coming out of Florida. I think I'm just gonna let him be the one that makes those decisions, and I'm just gonna stick to trying to get some completions.
Kyle, it was a couple more for Anthony Richardson's pro day, and he spoke really highly of the year you overlapped and just when he got his first year of campus watching you. How wild is it to see him now at the top of this draft as one of the best quarterbacks available now?
Oh, it's awesome. I just remember going back to that quarterback room we had with him and Brian Johnson, Emory Jones. We had a really fun and everybody in that room was so eager to learn. And I just remember, Anthony being so talented. And I just knew that, when our time had finally come to move on, that, he was going to be a star when he got his opportunity. And you see what he's turned into. And it's super cool to see, that other people have started to notice that as well. And I think he'll be very successful wherever he ends up.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.